Hi, everybody. How are you? Donald Clark here. Good to be back. Sorry I was not here last week. I had some very important stuff to do and I couldn't make it. But I hope everyone had a wonderful week and I hope that everyone's kind of absorbing everything that we talked about. And today, it's a little bit off the cuff. I'll answer some questions today as well as I wanted to talk a little bit about heat and inflammation. I know Dr. Hill talks a lot about inflammation and keto. I also wanted to talk a little bit about inflammation as well. It's been an amazing turnaround here in upstate New York with the weather. We went from winter, it's literally, we had a good inch of snow Saturday, actually less than a week ago, and to sunny and warm and 70. It's really great. All the leaves are coming out, and you can tell that the leaves are just sending back some of that energy to the sun to make it stronger, to send it back. And so it's starting to feel summer like. So here we go. Everyone's planting their gardens or getting ready to plant their gardens, and the greenhouses are going, and it's moving on. We're getting ready to loosen our COVID restrictions here in upstate New York. So that's a great thing. We are all over wearing the masks, that's for sure. So heat, that's the segue into it. So as we go into the summer months and the environment around us starts to heat up and dry out, we face our own challenges physiologically to battle that. And it's important that we kind of look ahead into the future a little bit and anticipate what our bodies might feel, right? So when the seasons change, that's when there's a large influx of chi and energy, and that's when we need to start thinking ahead about our health. So external heat and dryness, like on a hot day or in the fall when all the leaves are crispy and everything's kind of dry. Um, but mostly in the early summer or late spring, it's hot, right? It's muggy and hot, dampness and damp heat, muggy. And so we need to kind of adjust our lifestyles and our diet to kind of make sure we don't get caught up in um, that environment inside our bodies and outside our bodies. So now specific fruits and vegetables grow at certain times of the year all around the planet, and they usually correspond with um, seasons as well as conditions that form during those seasons. So those can be your best medicines, right? Your best medicines to prevent anything from occurring. In Chinese medicine, we talk a lot about heat accumulation or dampness accumulation or inflammation. Now, the goal in fertility is to keep as much inflammation down as possible. We don't like inflammation. And so you can do that through a keto diet, eliminating sugars and carbohydrates and starches. All of those will convert right straight into heat, right? So if you eat, a lot of starches and carbs, they're going to convert into sugars, and sugars convert directly into heat. And I'm trying to think of the technical term, but there's a heat unit in the body that sugar is converted into, and we and that's what causes the heat in the body. And sometimes if you have a lot of heat in your body, or if you combine a lot of dairy, a lot of cheeses and milks, um, too much. I mean, it's okay to have a little bit. Life is full of moderation, and we should follow that. But if you overeat or overconsume lots of dairy and cheese and super damp foods, while eating lots of sugars, you're creating essentially you're taking a teapot and you're adding sugar and you're adding cream and you're whipping it up, and you get this mucousy, damp, sticky yellow substance, and in Chinese medicine, that's called damp heat, and that sticks to everything in the body. It obscures pathways, it obscures orifices. It's phlegmy in your system. You know, you can't breathe. It gets caught in your throat, plugs your ears. It's a misery. So as we go into spring and into summer, we have to be aware of our damp heat. So it's important to moderate, severely moderate, or just eliminate the dairy and the dampness. And so we want to make sure that we're aware of how much we're eating. So if you are eating a lot of sugars, it's just going to create heat. That's converted right into heat, and that settles. It settles into your lower abdomen, and then if we have normal stress, right? Stress or worry, the it's like dumping gasoline on your normal stress and worry and your normal organ function, right? So it's like anti-health, right? You don't want that. And so if we have a normal stress, normal worry, and then we're adding a lot of sugar and heat to it, wine, vino, right? It's full of sugars. Um, and so what happens is it starts to rise. It starts to rise in our body because heat rises. And then before you know it, you're quick tempered, or you have bloodshot eyes, or you're having acne, or you're having some problems seeing at night because it's starting to rise and fill if your upper extremities in your head, and it's churning in you and burning in you, and so it's not good. It's not good. Your body needs to create a homeostasis, right? It needs a constant normal temperature. But if you're constantly feeding it heat causing elements, heat foods, heat substances, the body has to work harder to maintain a healthy normal temperature. And so it's energy wasted. It's energy that you could be spent on building follicles, building eggs, building sperm. So anything that we can do to make our bodies ease through the seasons, ease through life, it's all going to help. And heat generally poses a difficult, or it poses a threat that we don't normally see. And as we go into the heating part of the year, it's important that we pay attention to that. So, cut back on your sugars, cut back on your wines, cut back on your your dairies and your milks. Moderate. Eat some vegetables and or fruits, small amount that helps dissipate heat and dampness. Right. One vegetable that I personally love, and they're easy to grow, and I'm getting ready to plant them in my garden right now, are radishes. So all radishes, have a unique ability to disperse phlegm, right? So if you took a bunch of mucus and you put a radish in it, the mucus would just swallow it, right? But I think you would find that around the radish, it would be dispersing the dampness, dispersing it. It breaks it up, and it's a damp breaking vegetable. So that's one thing you eat. And they're really cheap to grow, and they're really easy to grow. And all you have to do is eat 2 to 3 globes a day, really not much, to have that phlegm dispersing effects, right? In Chinese medicine school, we took different fruits, different vegetables, and we put them under lab controlled conditions and introduced different bacterium and substances uh, to these fruits and vegetables to see how they would react to different bacteriums and substances. And it's really interesting to see the gentle but strong power in which these fruits and vegetables have. So don't ever underestimate the power of food, right? Also, this one you have to be a little bit more careful of, but watermelon, as we really get into the heating of the day and the heating of the season, a little bit of watermelon goes a long ways because what it does is it helps you urinate, right? It's a diuretic as well as celery, but also what it does, it has the elemental properties of um, draining heat out of your body. There's no coincidences in nature, right? So a little bit of watermelon can drain your heat, a little bit of celery, little radishes. So all those things combined will help keep your heat levels down, right? So fertility medications can really amp you up, really get you. Really, they're strong medications. We're trying to do a lot in a very short period of time, so that can create heat, right? And so you can have issues with bowel movements. So what happens is, and the medications themselves will slow a systolic function of your bowels as well. But on top of it, what you have is you have a little bit increased heat into the environment and a slower systolic function. And what happens when you leave bread in an oven too long and bake it too long? It's rock hard. And so if you can't move everything out as quickly as you would like, and this is the case with even without medications. Sometimes it's just normal for people to have slow bowels. Introducing some of these methods can help move bowels, and constipation is brutal. It is not life threatening, although in worst case scenarios it can be life threatening. But generally, it's just one of those things that is very minor, but it is so upsetting, and it's massively inconvenient to have that. So to make sure that we can keep our heat levels down and keep our energies, you know, dedicated to fertility, I encourage that. So I would like to just go to the questions once real quick here, and see if I can answer something. And I have glasses today. Here we go. Although I like my old lady glasses. These are pretty much the same thing. So let's see. It's a good question. So we have a good question. The question is, oftentimes during an acupuncture visit or process or treatment, we will add heat to the equation, heat to your belly or heat to your feet. And that heat is different than internal heat, right? So internal heat is heat that happens upon the ingredients, heat causing ingredients put into our system that bubbles up heat. It's an internal heat. It's a totally separate heat. External heat, like the heat from a heat lamp or the heat from a sun, or the sun, or the heat from a light bulb, is very temporary, right? As we go into the summer and we've gone through a heat wave, right, or we've just been in like epic heat for 3, 4, 5, 6 days, then it starts to get inside of us. But if it's just a very short term heat, it's usually a therapeutic heat, right? So why we would put heat on the feet to keep your toes warm, to keep your feet warm, because it's very grounding, and we don't want your feet to be cold during a treatment because you never really truly get comfortable. So we want you to be as comfortable and as grounded as possible. So we'll put heat there. And the same thing applies for your belly and abdomen. We will put heat on your belly and abdomen just to help blood flow, right? We just want blood flow and keep you warm. We even use a modality in Chinese medicine called moxibustion, and that's when we are burning herbs, essentially mugwort, above the skin, but the heat transfers down through the needle and into the body. And what we're trying to do is in that particular case, we're trying to increase your yang energy. So usually we'll burn some mugwort or some moxa, usually during the winter. I don't do it during the summer unless there's some severe extreme cases of yang deficiency, which happens. But generally you see it mostly in the winter. And so we do a lot of moxibustion. So it's just a little bit different. And yeah, I mean, so it's different. It's external heat as compared to internal heat. When you're exposed to high levels of heat over a long period of time, it starts, and you're not like, you don't live there. Like sub-Saharan Africa or the Caribbean where it's hot all the time. It's just that your body is adjusted to that and you're used to that. But if you're northern hemisphere, you don't see a lot of heat and you get subject to that kind of heat. Then it starts to affect your body. And I'll answer another question. So acupuncture, when it comes to egg quality and egg reserve, we have to remember we have a certain, or women have a certain amount of eggs in their bodies already. And so what the acupuncture does is we try to help blood flow, help your energy, and help create a better environment for a viable egg, right? So genetics aside, put all the genetics aside, and deal with situational egg development. And acupuncture and Chinese medicine is very good at helping the environment itself promote a much more viable egg and hopefully leading into a stronger, more viable life force embryo. So yes, acupuncture can help that very much. Now, there's the questions keep coming in, and I try to stay focused. But there is a question about um, embryo transfers and acupuncture. And so what we do is we follow a specific protocol in regards to acupuncture and embryo transfers. And the goal on the day of the embryo transfer is there's two goals. Pre-embryo transfer, it's to slow the mind, right? And to help the body relax, specifically the cervix, right? We want the cervix to relax so that it's much easier to go in and do the transfer. Now, it has been proven that acupuncture shifts the brain from an awake pattern brain, which is a very rapid problem-solving brain, to a sleep pattern brain. So it's very calming, slower wavelength brain pattern. But what happens is the body assumes at that point it's supposed to be sleeping because the brain is going to sleep. So the body gets really seriously, deeply relaxed, and that's what helps. Now, post-transfer, we shift it up a little bit. We're doing the brain shifting to a sleep pattern, but we're also trying to prevent cramping, right? The uterus doesn't like anything really messing around with it, so it tends to cramp a little bit after an embryo transfer. Not always, it doesn't always happen, but sometimes it happens. And that's where the post acupuncture comes in. It's all about preventing cramps, right? We want to relax you and slow everything down, but we also don't want cramps to occur. And if you have cramps, it's okay. But what we're doing is we're just trying to take that out of the equation, or as much as possible. And so that's what we do with that. Okay, thank you. I will not be here next week, and I am going on vacation. It's a staycation. I will be here, but I won't be in the office. But I will be around. I can answer emails or questions. You can call, leave messages, and I can answer those. And have a wonderful week. I really do hope everything has helped you. We have such a long ways to go with everything that we're talking about and working through. So save up your questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and I will see you. I will see you guys next. Probably not next week, but certainly the week after. And just a quick answer to one of your questions is, our office in Buffalo does not have acupuncture properly, but we have a really great support system in Buffalo. And I'm sorry, and I think it's Andrea Schilling, I believe is her name, that we used there amongst other acupuncturists as well. But our office there can direct you to that acupuncturist. Her name is slipping me. I believe it's Dr. Andrea Schilling. And But our office in Buffalo has all that information, and they can send you to her right away. And she's great. She works with us. She's kind of on the same pattern that we are, and I've talked to her a lot. And Dr. Andrea Schilling, I think that Schilling is her last name. Very good. Thank you very much, everybody. And enjoy the weather. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be sunny and warm and dry. Plant some flowers, plant some food, seeds of love. Thank you.